Okay, sweet. We're off to a better start. My camera's not glitching yet.
Yes.
Knock on wood. Knock
Talking.
on.
Yeah.
Okay. I practiced our intro like 4 times, so I think I can say it.
Okay. We're getting there. I think it's already a better
This is
start than
my
next
life.
week. So,
I think so. We got connected faster, that's for sure.
yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Hey guys, and welcome back to It's Not That Deep, episode 2, the podcast where we dig into influencer culture, celebrity, and reality TV drama and discuss whether or not it's that deep.
I'm Kara.
Oh, yeah, I guess we could do that. I'm Sasha. Welcome back to episode 2. How are you
Woo.
doing?
I'm here. It's been a long week. We joke around, but I was a solo parent this week. I feel like if you
Yep.
know my channel at all, it's kind of a joke, but I actually was for like 2 days, so not really, but yeah, it was
It's
a
fine.
long
It's fine.
week.
It still counts. It still counts.
Yeah, to some
At
people.
least you actually were a solo parent,
Yes.
unlike the solo
Um,
dad who lies about his life
yeah.
and marriage and everything.
I didn't even make an Amazon wish list, which I feel like I missed out on like a good opportunity there.
I feel like it only works on TikTok. Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
So happy Valentine's Day, everyone, tomorrow at least. Do you have any Valentine's Day plans? Do you guys celebrate Valentine's Day at all?
Sometimes we do. It'll be dinner, but not out. I just say get me a steak and that's about it. What about you?
That's pretty solid. No, we don't celebrate Valentine's Day at all. We
It's
never
kind
really
of
have.
yeah, it's dumb. Do you do like Valentine's baskets for kids or anything like that or kind of ignore the day?
We have, or we'll usually get them a little card and write them a nice little note, but that's
Mhm.
about it. And then we
Yeah.
get the little cards for school, obviously. But
Mhm.
other than that,
Yeah.
maybe some chocolate because everybody needs chocolate.
Yes.
Let's be
I love
realistic.
it.
So today we have another Teen Mom update for you guys. We're going to just ride the Teen Mom train because it is drama that doesn't affect our life in any which way or form. And
Mhm.
very interesting to talk about.
Especially first season Teen Mom, like the OG ones. Macy, Farrah, Caitlin, and Amber are
Yeah.
my main people.
I watched Teen Mom 2 for quite a few seasons, but definitely the OG for longer. And it's
Yeah.
still going. They just keep changing the name. It's Teen Mom, and then it was Teen Mom OG, and then it's Teen Mom the next chapter now. And I'm
Yes.
just, yeah, wow. We're still going strong. And yeah, there's some updates about that whole thing. And then what's your
Mhm.
topic?
So this week, I'm going to be talking about a woman who basically her whole platform encourages other women to be proud about being a cheater on their spouse. I kid you not. They have retreats, they have groups, and
I didn't
long
know
story short,
that.
yeah, she's a life coach. It's crazy, and it's now there's a lawsuit with it. She deleted her whole entire profile and is rebranding.
Oh, perfect. We
Rebranding, it's
love
still the same thing.
rebranders.
Yeah. And what's really funny is that she always puts Taylor Swift songs in her shorts. I don't think Taylor Swift would approve of it. I don't, whatever you think about Taylor Swift, she's not a cheater. She does not appreciate cheaters. So,
No. No, I
yeah,
wouldn't I don't think so. I don't know, maybe she's just a Swiftie.
a crazy one.
I mean, Swifties are their own breed of
There's
human. We can't say
yes,
anything against the
yes.
Swifties, they're gonna come for us. They can sniff us out.
That'll be the last podcast episode, the second and last one where you don't
Yeah,
go to a season
done,
2. We
done.
don't
We've been
we're just done.
canceled.
I like Taylor Swift. I like her. I
Me
promise.
too. Me
Yeah.
too. My daughter
Yeah.
claims her identity as a Swiftie, so, I mean, I it
Great music. No one can deny.
I agree. So last week we talked about Catelynn and Tyler and how they've been trash talking the adoptive parents of their eldest daughter, Carly. And after we recorded, more stuff came out, which included Caitlyn backpedaling on a statement that she made.
I think that night there was a new statement after we had already filmed.
Was it that night? I think it was that night. I think it might have came
Mhm.
out while we were filming.
Mhm.
So I did some more digging as well, and I found out what she said on the podcast, or was
Mhm.
it podcast or interview or whatever she did,
Mhm.
because I think that that's
Yeah.
really important, especially when we look at what she said during her backpedal attempt. So I'm going to
Mhm.
start by showing you guys the quotes from the podcast that she was on, or the article or whatever.
Has she even started her podcast yet? I have not looked into that.
I don't remember. I feel like it was a long time to the launch date, but
Oh,
I can't remember. Maybe mid-February?
oh, okay. Hmm.
All right. So here is what she said in the article. I think that I would have made the same choice because I feel like it took her away from a lot of the traumas and things I was going through growing up that she shouldn't have to go through. She does, however, regret not getting herself a lawyer before going through with the adoption, as she was only 16 at the time. No adult stepped up to say, hey, this is what this means, Catelynn said. Everyone just threw papers at me, a literal child, and I had to sign them not knowing what I was signing, which we kind of discussed that a bit
Mhm.
last week when we were saying,
Mhm.
where was the adoption agent? Where were their parents? Why didn't they have a lawyer present explaining the terms and conditions? Because it's not the first time that Catelynn and Tyler have said that they've, been screwed over, or they
Yeah.
didn't understand what they were signing, or that things could change. And
Yeah.
then she goes on to say, I definitely would have picked a couple in Michigan, Caitlin said, adding that Brandon and Teresa's initial desire to have a closed adoption should have been something that took them out of the running to be Carly's parents. Although they weren't looking for an open or semi open adoption initially, Brandon and Teresa eventually agreed to the open adoption with the understanding that they had the right to close it at any time.
Mm.
So that first line there is huge. She says, I
Mhm.
definitely would have picked a couple in Michigan because they interviewed a bunch of people. And Tyler goes on to say that he regrets who they chose. So he's also saying it, but
Mhm.
admits that they've done a good job raising Carly, which I don't know. I don't understand. So if they're doing a good job raising her, why is there regret? And a lot of people are saying like it's like they're treating them like extended babysitters and they're thinking that
Yes.
she's just going to come running back. But then he goes on to say, I don't ever want to resent her parents. I firmly believe that they are good parents and I will always be grateful to them for that. I just hope the parents give her the right tools, resources, education that she deserves in her own regards to her own healing process. It's so important to hear we would have chosen different parents. We don't regret anything. Again, we're still reiterating the same thing because when Caitlin backpedaled. She said this, I want to make something very clear. In the interview I did recently, I said I would have picked different parents. I mean, I would have picked us. I wish that I could have made a different choice and we could be her parents. Not that I would have picked a different set of adoptive parents. I should have clarified it in the interview I did.
Mhm.
So,
I don't think
no,
that's what she meant. I mean,
that's not
that's
what
a
you meant.
really no, that's a really weird way of putting it. She said parents in Michigan. She would have just said, "I wish it could have just been us at the end of the day."
Yeah, I would have just kept her or anything else. You wouldn't have specified that I would have picked these different parents
Mhm.
in this different spot,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
I found another picture of them posting Carly online. I don't know exactly when this was taken, but it wasn't
Mhm.
taken that long ago because she's a teenager. She's in the middle here. So
Oh,
it's
that's her in the
just,
middle? Oh,
yeah.
wow.
So it's just
Mm.
further confirmation that they're not respecting privacy boundaries. And I know it's the back of her head, but
Mhm.
you're still posting her online.
Yeah.
And that didn't need to be done,
Mm-mm.
and
Not
it's just really yucky.
not to mention that picture, we don't know when it was, but it does look recent, and it goes to show that clearly Brandon and Teresa were not isolating Carly for years. This is more of a recent thing, and also to kind of backtrack to what you were saying. Did you say something like along the lines of Tyler saying that he hopes that they have therapy in place for her or something like that, like resources therapy? My thing is, if anything, she might need extra therapy because of all of the drama that Tyler and Caitlin have been creating. Had they just
Mhm.
let this be a quiet adoption, I think that all this extra drama is what's going to cause her issues and probably does. I mean, kids at school have to be saying stuff. She's a teenager.
Yep. If they know, that
Yeah.
you never know. She might have said she's adopted, but not who her parents are.
True. That's true.
They might have tried to conceal her identity, but people will figure it out. Regardless, I agree 100%, and I think that if Caitlin and Tyler hadn't been the way they have been,
Mhm.
they wouldn't be in the position they are now with Carly and her parents. They would still have a relationship with them if they just respected the boundaries and just done things differently,
Yeah, no, I
right?
agree. I think it's tough because I do see both sides. They were young when
Yes.
this all happened. Clearly, things were not explained.
No.
However, I think at this point you can only use the "they were young" excuse so much. They're in their 30s now. Growing up happens. We learn things,
And their
and
parents.
they're parents to other kids now, more kids, I should say. And anyone can see it. Boundaries are boundaries, rules are rules. And if Brandon and Teresa say, we don't want the pictures, we don't want the information, and they continue to do it, come on. It's not rocket science here.
It's really not. And then the last thing I want to read are some of the comments that I saw posted on Reddit from
Hmm.
stans of Catelynn and Tyler. And some of them are a lot. As an adoptee, absolutely not. If my bio parents had this platform and spoke out about my parents like C&T do, I would have nothing to do with them. And someone replied, I don't care. Most adoptees are brainwashed. You don't know any better.
What?
Okay, so that's one.
That's quite a statement.
To an
I
adoptive
mean,
kid.
yeah, come on. Ugh.
These are their
Hmm.
fans too.
Hmm.
You are what you
Yeah.
attract.
Yep.
Can they file something that forces them to at least communicate? Being that it was an open adoption, it wasn't an open adoption. This
Mm-mm.
situation makes me want to show up to B&T's with a pitchfork.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And we wonder why they got blocked?
Right. Because I'm sure that there are creeps who have gone to be at Brandon and Teresa's home and place of work and all these different things. If they have creepy fans like that who are willing to go with, I know it's a saying, pitchforks, but nonetheless, I would not be surprised. So I don't blame them for putting all these boundaries in place. My goodness, it
No.
comes down to it's Carly's safety and the other siblings' safety.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's no safety or safety measures in place. And it's like the digital literacy or lack of is
Hmm.
astonishing considering they've been in the public eye for over a decade at this
Yeah.
point. Like, how do they not have a PR team who's saying, hey, stop? They're still on Teen Mom, but you know why?
Hmm.
Because they feed off of this drama.
Yeah.
The network probably encouraged this and encourages
Hmm.
them to talk about this,
Yeah.
which is a
And what
really
we talked
toxic thing to think about too.
It is, and it's what we talked about last week, how this is all they know, how they make their
Yeah,
money, how the really for closer to 2 decades they've been in
a
the
decade
public
and a
eye at this
half.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it really is all that they know. Again, not an excuse because they should know better. People should know better, but they clearly don't.
No, again, I think it has to do with the emotional maturity and being
Mhm.
potentially arrested at 16, 17 when very big trauma happened on top of the whirlwind of trauma that was going on at home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And didn't you say that this is something that Caitlin does is backpedal?
Yes. Yeah, apparently she's done it in the past. I don't know what else. I haven't there's so much. There is so
Yeah.
much, and I'm one person and have another channel. So I didn't do too much of the looking into the backpedaling.
Yeah.
Also this isn't the main topic.
It's true.
But she has backpedaled in the past.
Well, hasn't she we talked about this last week, she has said before that she doesn't regret what she did, but now she
Mhm.
does regret what she does. So, yeah, she backpedals, and at the end of the day, it's very clear that they do regret it, but you can't turn back time. Brandon and Teresa are Carly's parents. They're not babysitters. They're not housing for her and for the next couple of years.
No.
That's all she
No.
knows. So, like I said, anything, in my opinion, if she's going to need any sort of therapy or guidance, it's going to be because of things that Caitlin and Tyler are putting out into the world that they do not need putting out there.
Exactly. And a couple of the comments were saying, like this one, Carly should be given back to her real family and
Oh my
siblings.
goodness.
And there was another one saying that it was illegal kidnapping. They
Oh my god.
literally forged a legal kidnapping. They skirted the system and kidnapped her. And it's like, these are her parents and they're being
Mhm.
accused of this stuff and
Yeah,
probably harassed.
I don't doubt it, and that's very likely why they're just done at this point.
I can't even blame them. Not even a
No.
little bit.
No, it did not need to turn into this. I think that they did seem like a nice couple. And I think had Catelynn and Tyler just been respectful, I think that it could have been a good relationship. Not
Yep.
daily contact, not seeing her all the time, but I do think they probably would have done like once a year and updates a couple times throughout the year. And that's really more than what probably most even get in that sort of situation. I don't know, but to even go and say all those things that you're reading on Reddit about it not being real and that's disrespectful to people who were or are adopted and great
Yeah.
adoptive parents. All that's just so disrespectful.
It is. It's next level, and to basically condone and facilitate that kind of behavior and environment in your audience. It's not like it was just one comment. I have
No.
12. We
And that
read
was, I'm sure,
4.
just a quick look. Like you didn't spend a ton of time, just like a quick scroll through.
It was one Reddit post
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
had 12 comments that were all equally toxic as that. It's worth a read because that's the type of environment that they are creating and the type of audience that they're building. And they're literally building this mob against
Hmm.
Brandon and Teresa right now, who are her parents, no matter what anyone says.
I think short term, it's going to be very interesting to see what they talk about on the podcast. I think that we all know what they're going to talk about on the podcast because what else do they have to talk about? And
Yeah.
I think long term, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I mean, I think that they think she's going to move to Michigan, maybe go to college in Michigan and just be like, bye, Brandon, bye, Teresa. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not, especially with the way they're acting. I would be mortified
Yeah.
if my parents were acting this way on social media. Absolutely
Yeah.
mortified.
Because
Nope.
for all we know, she wants to have a private life and maybe she wants to go into a government job or something where they don't want you to have a big social media presence. We don't know
Yeah.
anything about her because Brandon and Teresa are doing a really good job protecting her. I mean,
Yeah.
say what you want about them, but I don't know a single thing about her. That's because of them, what they're doing, putting those boundaries and barricades in place. So I think good for them.
I agree because it's also probably not an easy decision for them to
No.
have made either. And
Hmm.
probably really confusing for Carly.
Caitlin and Tyler, I think they just have such a mentality of a 15-year-old, maybe
Yeah.
14, 15, and they just have not grown out of it, unfortunately.
Yeah. And a lot of entitlement.
Yes.
A lot.
Influencer entitlement, which, yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of entitlement, shall we move on to Ryan? Because
Yeah.
entitlement train wreck, I'm not 100% sure what's going on with him. But let's talk about what's going on with Ryan.
I don't know a ton. A little bit, but not a ton.
Okay, so like the basics.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of
He's a
didn't know.
jerk, drugs, like, you know?
And a couple baby mamas.
Yeah, jerk, drugs, few baby mamas. Yeah.
Okay.
Gets a ton of second chances that he doesn't deserve, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, just a
Yeah.
couple. So, a quick little backstory for those that don't know who Ryan is. Originally, he was dating Macy, and in 2008, they welcomed their son Bentley to the world and
Hmm.
got signed to start on Teen Mom. From literally, I think the first episode, maybe even 16 and Pregnant, we saw how toxic and awful their relationship was. I feel like the first episode, Macy was begging him to stay home and not go out and party that night and stay
Yes.
home with them and spend time with,
Mhm.
his infant son who had just been
Mhm.
born.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yikes. It was yikes from the beginning. They ended up breaking up in about 2010 from what I can gather, and he had a
Mhm.
couple other relationships between him and his wife, now ex-wife, soon to be ex-wife. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
Mackenzie, which is what we're going to be focusing on now because wow, there's a lot of stuff going on with them.
Mm.
So I would speculate probably starting when he was with Macy. He had addiction issues and allegedly he was in rehab in 2012.
Mhm.
And the only people that know at the time that that happened were his two in between girlfriends. For some
Mm.
reason, they both knew, and his mom and dad. That's basically all the information we have for that rehab stay, but that was in 2012. And he met Mackenzie in 2016, and they were engaged by the end of 2016 with their wedding
Mhm.
scheduled for spring of 2017. So it was fast.
Yeah.
Do you know much about Mackenzie and their whole relationship? Were you still watching at that point?
I have seen clips, and all I really remember is that Ryan seemed to be very heavily on something during that
Yeah.
relationship. He'd be essentially
Mhm.
propped up and almost falling asleep during their scenes. And it was basically Mackenzie or his mom, like, come on, Ryan, come on, basically wake up. And yeah, that's about all I remember. Was she a bit of an enabler too?
Okay, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know to
Hmm.
confidently be able to say that. It's so messy.
Yeah.
But yes, he was addicted to heroin
Hmm.
when in like 2016-ish, and I don't know if that's what he was in rehab for in 2012. If
It's
so, that's terrifying. That's a very long time to be using heroin,
a
but
big one.
it's a big one. I was asking you about Mackenzie is because she was really not well received on the show. Do you remember hearing much about that?
No, but I do remember her getting defensive at times about Macy, just about even Macy being in the picture at all. Am I remembering that
Mm,
correct?
maybe. I didn't watch a whole lot of the Mackenzie
I didn't
saga
either.
by the
Yeah.
time they got there, but I
Hmm.
know there was drama with Macy, and we're gonna get into a really important thing here shortly. But basically, she wasn't well received because people thought that she was just clout seeking. At this point, it's obvious that Ryan has drug issues. It's obvious that he wasn't, the nicest guy or the most
Yeah.
involved dad. I kind of do get some clout goblin vibes, latching
Hmm.
on to someone who's famous to get
Hmm.
your 15 minutes, no matter the
Yeah.
expense.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I, I don't
I can
know.
see it. I mean, if he's not a prize, the only thing he really has going for him is that he was or is, I don't, is he still? I think he's still in the show, maybe bits and pieces. Is the MTV money basically? Because
Yes.
I think even
And it's a decent paycheck.
it's a decent paycheck. It comes with perks, and I think that for a good duration up until I don't know when he was still living at home with his parents. So why else would you be with him? Like he's clear he's on
Yeah.
things. He's not a good
And
dad.
she,
He's just kind of a loser.
and she would also start getting her own MTV checks, right?
Yes.
I also understand from Mackenzie's point of view the feeling pressured. I don't know how they met and how she like got into his life, but with how fast everything happened, a lot of people are asking, why did you marry him?
Hmm.
And she
Hmm.
has a response to that.
Real quick though, before you do, it's what people say is you can't help who you fall in love with, but you could help who you go on the first date with. Well, going on a first date with someone like Ryan, you're going to know all about the history, so you could have made
Mhm.
a very well informed decision before going on that first date. So if
100%.
she says something like, "Oh, I fell in love," okay, why did you go on the first date with him then?
That's such a good point. Clout Goblin. That's why. That's why.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, they met and got engaged really fast, and they got married May 15th, 2017, and are still technically currently married. That first wedding was the day that the most terrifying clip aired on MTV, and I'm going to play it for you guys here. And this is where I side with people when they're speculating and asking, questioning, why did you go through and marry him after this?
Ryan, our wedding is at 6 and it's 6:10. Why start? My arms back. And somehow I can't keep them up.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna be baby. We're gonna be baby.
Yeah, I do remember this. This is crazy.
He's driving on the highway.
It's nuts.
I don't have it in it. But down my kids' life.
What did he say at the end there?
Did you take Xanax again? No, I don't have
Uh,
any. I put that on my kid's life.
yeah, that's and that was on the way to their wedding, right?
That was on the way to get married, and oh my god, I have goosebumps watching that again. I knew it existed, but I haven't watched
Yeah.
it in, since 2017,
Yeah.
and, wow, that is terrifying.
And again, why did you go through with the wedding? And that's, I think, the scene I do remember where his mom was his mom there at the wedding, and she
Yeah,
kind of was
I think
catching
so.
on, just like, "Come on, Ryan!" Like that's my memory of it, and it might be a little bit hazy, but an enabler is like essentially everybody
Yeah.
in Ryan's life seems like an enabler to some degree.
So 2 days after that, he checked into rehab again,
Hmm.
and I'm pretty sure it was just a 21-day program or something like that, and at the reunion show that year, Mackenzie writes an open letter to Macy and reads it, I'm pretty sure on stage at the reunion show, and essentially she blames Macy for not giving her a heads up about Ryan and how bad he had been, because she alleges that she told Macy that Ryan entered a treatment program, and Macy responded with, "Yeah, I knew, and I knew he had a problem," and turned a blind eye to him and just aired all his dirty laundry online or on air, and that
Hmm.
was all she did. That was not well received at all, because in March of 2017, Ryan was charged with a misdemeanor for possession of heroin. He had
Oh,
like 14 syringes on him
oh
and
gosh.
like 1.8 grams, I think it said, of
Wow.
heroin. Wild. So that was March 2017, 2, 3 months before they got married.
Hmm.
And she's sitting there saying, Macy, you didn't tell me how bad it was. You didn't tell me he had a problem.
She knew.
You
She's just
knew.
Yeah, she's trying to blame everyone else to make her look better, but in the end,
Yeah.
just makes her look worse.
Yeah, and again, to play devil's advocate, I understand that feeling of pressure. She was being filmed. Could you
Yeah.
imagine getting to your wedding that you were probably pressured into doing and rushing because it was
Mhm.
the season finale, and
Mhm.
he's high on heroin, and you get there but you're in front of cameras, you're just supposed to walk. What was she supposed to do? Yes, walk away. Cuz is it worth it? She literally ruined her entire life, and it gets more insane.
Well, and also it goes to show again that the people behind the cameras of Teen Mom, the whole show, they do not have the best interest of any of the cast in mind.
No, they don't. They absolutely do not, and that's really sad, and they've let things happen like this more than once. Janelle
Mhm.
had a couple stints of, like, passing out after doing drugs, and it's not okay. It's so unethical, and it's like, who has these kids' backs?
Well, not Teen Mom, not the people on Teen Mom. We'll be talking a lot about Teen Mom, you'll find, and so we're gonna go into all different types. I was gonna start giving more examples, but we'll just save them.
Well, yeah, we'll cover we got you. We got you
Yeah,
guys. We're
stay
in
tuned.
all the drama because it literally doesn't affect our lives, and it's wild drama, and it's really interesting
Mm,
to talk about and
it
sad
is.
and all the things. But people asked Mackenzie, "Why did you go through with marrying him?"
Mhm.
And she said, "I was young, confused, nervous, and made a very bad decision. I'm so thankful no one was hurt. We made peace with it a long time ago together." So this
How
is when
young
she
was
was
she?
still she's young, she's 96.
So she would have been 2017, 20.
Wait, what was 2017? 23? No, 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 I was 23 in 2017. So she's like, what, 5 years younger than me? She
That
was like,
can't be right, though.
yeah, I looked it up today.
Okay. Hmm.
Ryan was born in 88.
And she was born in 96.
Yeah,
16, so 21 she would have been if it was 2017.
there you go. Isn't super young. It's not
I
16, 17,
just hate
but
whenever
like,
people use the excuse like, "I was young, I was young." How young
well,
are we
where
talking
are
here?
her grown-ups?
Yeah,
Where was her
right.
mom and dad telling her, like, "What are you doing? Don't go marry
Mhm,
him." Like, I don't
mhm.
know much of the Mackenzie lore because I had stopped watching the show for the most part at that point, but, like, where were her people telling her, "What are you doing? Give your head a shake." There were so many people that just let
Mm,
this happen,
yeah, it's
right?
sad.
But also Clout Goblin, right? You
Yeah, I
didn't
could see
not
it.
know. You couldn't have not known. And he got charged while driving her car and had a court date in April before they got married. So it's like
Mhm.
you had a lot of chances to stop.
And I think that her going on the reunion episode and speaking directly to Macy was her last attempt to get some fame and try to be looked at as the victim, and you know what I mean?
Well, that was really early on too, and they didn't file for divorce the first time until 2023 February.
Okay, so more recently.
Yeah, they were together for a decent amount of time, and
Hmm.
she was on the show for a few years after that reunion show. But
Hmm.
her saying that to Macy, it was not well received, and
Yeah.
I don't blame you. You're going to go on national TV and be like, "Oh, you should have warned me." Like, he
Grow
got
up.
arrested. Yeah, take accountability for your own
Mhm.
bad decisions.
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
know, and you can't tell me that you didn't know he wasn't on something on the way to your wedding and that was the first big red flag. No, there's no
No.
way.
No, because she wouldn't have said, "Did you take Xanax again?" She knows there's warning signs.
Exactly, exactly. Good catch. So she also says, honestly, everything happened so fast that day and the following. It was very hard going through that, much less publicly. I wasn't even sure how to process what was happening, much less my words to describe it. Rips my heart out looking back at everything. Feels like a lifetime ago. I feel like Ryan and I have a weight lifted completely off of our shoulders.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't even know what that means either. That's such a weird comment.
Yeah. She could just be grasping at straws at this point, you know?
She could be. Well, they were still together at that point, whenever that was. I forgot to look what the screenshots were, but I assume that was in like 2017, 2018, a few
Mm,
months later.
okay.
Maybe
Mm.
2018 would make more sense. We made peace with it a long time ago, you know?
Okay. Yeah, that would make sense.
Obviously, they had a rough relationship as well, and it went on for a while. And in February 2023, Mackenzie finally filed for divorce, accusing Ryan of being abusive towards her. And oh my gosh, I'm not going to even dip into the things that I read because they were pretty scary and horrific, and people don't need to
Mhm.
be subjected to that. But it is online if you want to go look for yourselves.
Mhm.
And that also caused her to file an order of protection in March of 2023 as well, because he kept making these crazy, scary threats. And
Mm.
sometime in and around this time, he went in and trashed her house. And I believe this was after the order of protection had been filed, the temporary one that she filed in March 2023.
My dog ran in, my kids ran in, my husband ran in.
The whole zoo.
Oh, sorry
Oh
about
my
that.
god. Oh, it's okay. I don't remember what I was saying though. Oh,
The,
the body
body
cam
cam.
footage.
Mhm.
Yeah. So this footage is wild because it shows how much he destroyed the house, and then he plays dumb after when he gets arrested. It's ridiculous.
Makes
Okay.
sense. I mean, yeah, I can see that him playing dumb.
Well, yeah.
Body camera video reveals the moments leading up to the arrest of Ryan Edwards, who appeared frequently on MTV's Teen Mom reality show.
My goodness.
Videos from February 10th. Edwards was later arrested for stalking in violation of an order of protection. Police believe
Wow.
Edwards was responsible for trashing the house occupied by his estranged wife. Edwards was allowed to get his belongings from the house with police supervision. When he was arrested, he told police the house was already in this condition before he got there.
Yeah, sure.
Turn around. You're in place under arrest.
For what?
Well, for one, you know what you did up here at the house. That's ridiculous.
I did not do that.
Oh, yeah? Somebody else did it.
I've got evidence.
Evidence.
Edwards was arrested for violating an order of protection, harassment, and possession of a controlled substance. He'll be in court tomorrow.
I've got evidence.
I got evidence.
What evidence do you have, Ryan?
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
god. What a nut bar. So it's really confusing, but they say that the protective order got dropped in June of 2023, the temporary one. And then in August of 2023, they were pictured together for the first time in X amount of months at his treatment facility because he went back to rehab.
Mhm.
But as I was researching more and more, I saw that there's actually a 2-year restraining order that Mackenzie got granted against Ryan in place right now. So I don't know exactly when that got filed, and it's
Yeah.
unclear if the temporary one was dropped, but then again, they were pictured in August and they wouldn't have been able to be together if it was in place.
Well, because they have a kid together, right?
Too.
So that's sad because he's trashing his kid's home. He's
Yeah.
not just getting I got my ex-wife, it's your kid's home and their things that you're ruining. And
Yeah.
imagine going home as a kid and you see that, how scary that would be. And then to find out it's your dad that did it.
Yeah, well, and she alleges that some of the abuse happened in front of the kids and like really
Oh,
bad stuff that I was saying earlier. I couldn't even imagine
mm-mm.
being a little kid and seeing that and seeing your dad do that to your mom, and like cuz they're little. I mean, I think their
Yeah.
son is 6 right now. So
Yeah.
that's really sad and scary.
I wonder where things stand with Macy and Ryan. Do you know? Because I feel okay, we'll let you get to that then.
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
interesting. It's interesting, that's
Okay.
for sure. And over the years, Mackenzie has taken Ryan to court for child support and back child support, and she claims that she only makes $3,000 and he makes $18,500 an episode, which is actually $35,000 an episode
He makes
that
that
he
much
is
per
seen on
episode?
per episode, guys. And he recently
Goodness.
started working as a diesel mechanic. So he's like literally rolling in cash right now. And he signed on for Teen Mom The Next Chapter, which it aired on January 30th, like just last week, 2 weeks ago.
Maybe this is gonna sound dumb, but if you're making that much per episode, why do you even need a job? It's a lot of money.
Because he has a drug problem.
Well,
Allegedly, not
and
anymore. Apparently he's
and baby
clean. So,
mamas. Yeah, well,
oh yeah, that's true. He's got to pay a lot of back child support
yeah, so I guess that makes sense, but 35,000 an episode, and if he's in
that he features. Yeah.
I mean, if you're even in 3 or 4 episodes, that's a pretty decent salary.
Well, yeah, considering he's in it for like well, no, because he does have to air all of his dirty laundry publicly
Yeah, that's why they keep him,
and,
because he's
and stuff.
problematic at best, it's
A deadbeat at the other end.
so
I can't even say at worst.
no, where does Macy stand with all this? Does she still
Okay,
let Bentley talk to him?
so hold on. We'll get there.
Okay.
So January 30th, so the day that the Teen Mom Next Chapter aired,
Mhm.
I think he dropped that he was suing his ex Mackenzie in contempt, claiming that she sold sentimental possessions of
Oh.
his, including a jet ski, tools,
Mhm.
and more. And Mackenzie still wants Ryan to pay child support. Surprise, surprise. What a
Yeah.
concept.
Sentimental jet skis, I was laughing about that when Ree told me that a couple
Yeah.
days ago, like, That's a new one, I haven't heard that before, but
Yeah.
okay."
Right. Okay. Teach their own, I guess.
Mhm.
The Sun News broke Thursday that the Teen Mom Next Chapter dad is demanding that the judge that's a typo, sorry. Handling his and Mackenzie's divorce case charge Mac with contempt due to Ryan believing that Mackenzie sold a bunch of his property out from under him, despite a court order in place forbidding both parties from doing so until the divorce is settled. He believes that Mackenzie sold or got rid of items that had significant monetary and or sentimental value to Ryan and listed these items as a car jack, kayak, jet ski, lawnmower, hunting rifle, sectional couch, race car motor transmission, and various tools, including a plasma cutter, 2 welders, a generator, a pressure washer, and other stuff.
So that's where he spent his money on, just random guy toys, basically.
Just a bunch of random stuff. But I mean, as you'll see right here, my mama put that car jack in my crib when I was a baby. It has sentimental value, y'all.
Oh my goodness.
So
Oh. I don't know what to say to
okay.
that.
Okay. And at the bottom here it says Mackenzie intentionally, willfully, and or maliciously disposed of the following marital property. The motion filed by Ryan claims Mackenzie made no attempt to discuss the sale, gift, or transfer of these assets with Ryan or Ryan's counsel. So it says right here, the exes are currently not allowed to be near each other due to a restraining order. They are also forbidden from transferring, assigning, borrowing against, concealing, or in any way dissipating without the consent of the other party or an order of the court of any of the marital property until the divorce is finalized. Because of this, Ryan wants Mackenzie held in contempt, meaning she would face jail time and or fines. According to Ryan, he wants his ex sanctioned and punished for her intentional, willful conduct.
I'm so curious who's putting all this in his ear.
Right. And the thing is, now he has to prove that she no longer has these items. So he's got some proving to do, but it just keeps going.
Yeah, he's made a real mess of his life.
That's basically the big breaking news with Ryan, is that he's taking her to court, and now we're going to be hearing all about that. And one thing they couldn't agree on was how Ryan's current girlfriend, fiance, I believe they're engaged, is
Mm.
going to be integrated into their shared kids' lives. That Amanda was the breaking point and sent their
Oh,
divorce to court. They couldn't settle in mediation. But here's where
okay.
it's interesting to me, Kara, and you were asking about what Macy thinks of Ryan and how he's doing
Mhm,
now. Well, she's been signing his praise lately. And I think on the first season of, or the first episode of Teen Mom or whatever, or
mhm,
recently, she's made
mhm,
statements saying that he's happy for the first time. And it's so nice because Bentley can see his dad in love with someone for the first time, and his dad love someone, and he's
mhm,
happy and healthy and thriving right now. And he's been sober and just got congratulated, I believe, in 2024 for being sober for X amount
mhm.
of time and stuff like that. So that's very interesting to me because she's always been his biggest critic, justifiably so. But for her to be like, yeah, it's great. And I saw a picture of them together with Bentley, Amanda, Ryan, Bentley,
Oh,
and
yeah, I
Macy
saw
were all
that.
together.
Yeah.
And she's happy that Bentley gets to see his dad.
Wow, that's I don't know if I'd be in that same, but, everyone's different. There's just too many things with Ryan. I would not want I mean, maybe there was nothing she could do because he wasn't doing that to her or to Bentley, and so it was not her thing, but that'd be hard. I don't know. I try to be forgiving, but come on.
Yeah. Well, I also know that Macy and Taylor had a restraining order against Ryan for a while because he
Oh,
was
okay.
also threatening them. But
Yeah.
this was when he was in the thick of his addiction and just strung out on heroin,
Yeah.
for God's sakes. Like, it wasn't just
Yeah.
Xanax,
Yeah.
girl. Like, it was worse. And even at that,
Mhm.
when she said that, like, oh, did you take Xanax again? Maybe he was using more than one thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very possible, especially if it'd been going on for years at that point. But
Mhm. Well, it's great if him and Bentley have this great relationship, but he has multiple other kids, right? So it's sad. It's sad all around because I would want to say, oh, well, that's great for Bentley if he can have a great relationship with his dad and, finally get some peace there. But
finally,
at the same time, if he has two other kids that have this completely different image of their dad, so sad. It's
yeah,
sad.
exactly. But at the end of the day, there, like you said, there are kids involved,
Mhm.
and this drama isn't that deep for us.
No,
It is for them
it is for the
because
kids. Yeah.
they're never going to have a relationship with their dad. There's just no way. There's no way
Mhm.
that you can, maybe when they're adults, but there's no way you can come back from that. And that's if they decide to forgive him and let him in.
My thing is too with Macy is if the abuse allegations are true, that's where I have the really hard time allowing Ryan into my
Yeah.
kid's life, even
Yeah.
if it's his kid too, because that's more than just trashing a house. That's more than being on something. That's
Yeah.
to me just not something I'm going to go mess with, or take
Yeah.
not mess with, but risk.
Well, and that's just it. And it's interesting to think that it might have only been with Mackenzie.
Yeah. Why would it only be with her?
Say, yeah, exactly. But what does that say about their relationship and the whole thing? Like, it just makes
Yeah.
it seem like it was all for content.
Yeah. Well, as I said, we could probably do a whole episode on Ryan and have it be
Oh my gosh.
inside the mind of Ryan. I don't know his last name, honestly. What's his last name?
Edwards.
Oh yeah, Edwards. Inside the Mind of Ryan Edwards. It should be studied, but I mean, I think a lot of it really stems back to
I agree.
addiction.
Yes.
But at the same time, this is a question I don't know the answer to. Is addiction is one thing, but the abuse is I think a different thing. That's either it's in you to do that or it's not. I don't know. Would heroin make someone do something like that, or is it just kind of like he
Ye-
already was like that without that stuff?
Well, I don't know because I don't do heroin, so
Right. It's one of those things
um,
like don't know, and I'm glad I don't know,
I
but I don't know.
honestly, yeah, exactly. I honestly think that it would definitely have effects on his personality, especially long-term use. But it also really makes me think that Mackenzie wasn't a safe person for him. And that's not to excuse anything he did for her
Mhm.
to her because no human being deserves to go through that. It's
Yeah.
just it's unacceptable to be abusive like that, especially in front of
Mhm.
children and the whole 9 yards. It's just so unacceptable, but it just makes me think that those two together were just super toxic and it was forced.
But you're saying that some of the allegations was towards kids too, right? His kids.
No.
Oh, no?
No.
Okay. Well,
No.
that
I feel like he made blanketed threats, but it was towards Mackenzie.
okay. Well, that's okay. At first, I thought you meant it was to the kids too, which is a completely would be
It was
another
in front
level
of them.
in front of them. Okay. That's
Yes.
messed up. That's gonna mess them up for
If
life.
the allegations are
If it's
true,
true. Yeah.
if it's true, right? Because
Yeah.
it might not be obviously like we want to believe victims of abuse
Mhm.
100%, right? I would not deny it seeing her house trashed the way it was,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. That's not
because
normal.
no, and some of the graffiti, like I know it was really low quality, some of the graffiti was really nasty stuff.
Mm.
So
And his
I
kids, I'm sure, were able to read it, depending what their age was.
maybe,
But
maybe
kids are reading in kindergarten, so
it's true. I don't know, but
Mm.
yeah, that's basically all I have for the Ryan update. We'll keep you guys updated as they go to court and stuff, and hopefully their divorce can be finalized. And he's about to have a baby like next month.
Let's just hope he stays clean, I guess. But if all the stuff is true, that's gonna give him a lot of issues down the
So
road,
much
likely.
trauma. So
Yeah.
much trauma.
Yeah.
And they're
Well.
young now, so
Mhm.
I hope she has them in therapy, like even though they're little,
Yeah.
because there might be healing and coming back from it, but
Mhm.
regardless, it's going to be trauma in some sense of the matter because
Yep. And like if they witnessed everything that is alleged, then that's gonna cause a lot of stuff, likely.
exactly.
I guess we can move into the last one, and are we good just to kind of segue into
Yeah, absolutely. Let us
okay.
have it.
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a TikTok here in a minute that kind of gives you a brief summary of what's going on, but just to kind of get you guys up to speed. This is a woman who I thought was a lot older than what she is. She's actually our age, which
Oh,
I don't know about you. Whenever you find out someone's your age who did something crazy, it makes you, I don't know, it hits closer to home because
it's
I would never do that, I don't know. That's my thing.
yeah,
But
I also don't know.
yeah. So essentially, she was married to somebody and she did not have kids with the person she was married to. She started an affair with somebody. I don't know how they met, but essentially, he lived in China. I don't know if they met in the US and he was traveling for work, what the situation is. He was also married and he did have kids, young kids. And they started an affair, left their spouses, and now they are married and they have kids together. So he left his family in China, left his kids. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like he has a relationship and they're married. So that's kind of where things are, but it didn't stop there because this woman named Chelsea Smallwood on Instagram, on TikTok, has made her platform into being proud, boasting about what she did. And I remember stumbling upon her stuff because my algorithm is, I don't know about yours, my algorithm can be wild sometimes. I don't know why
Yeah.
you're showing me some of the stuff. I don't know. And I thought this has to be rage bait. This cannot be true. It just can't be. But she would make TikToks videos saying, here's what your husband was doing with me whenever you thought he was on a business trip. And it'll just be going through like saying that he loves you whenever he's really with me, or really on a vacation with me, or it's just completely bragging about it. Really gross stuff. So I was going to do a video on her. This was back in November. And I thought, oh, this would be a really cool video. Not cool, but it would be an interesting video. And I went to go and get some receipts. Everything is wiped out. There was nothing there anymore. And I was so mad. I was like, no, why? Everything's gone. It's like it never existed. And there's a reason why. Let's get into the TikTok video. To really set this up, somebody on YouTube by the name of The Dadvocate. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's really covering this Chelsea Smallwood story to a T. So I'm just going to show you one of her TikToks, kind of giving you a brief summary and then going into the lawsuit. This is the one that really got people mad because she did a part 1, part 2. All of her stuff was just gross, but you can see things your husband did while he was in an affair with me. And she's dancing around in her red shorts and acting all proud. And you know, Sasha, that I don't go and like make fun. Like I try to keep things nice, but this woman's just total garbage, total trash. Like the things I could say, we'll get into it. But she goes around dancing, just saying like, you did this, did that. And so this woman, I don't know her name, but the Dadvocate on YouTube,
Okay, do you guys remember Chelsea Smallwood, the chick who was bragging openly about being the other woman and then started an entire coaching business for cheaters to pay her to give them pats on the back for being cheaters? I guess her whole shtick is like, I got a married man to abandon his wife and kids in China for me while I was also married, and you can too. Well, now she's being sued. In a public lawsuit filed in Miami County, Ohio, Chelsea Smallwood, her company, and one of her coaches, Olivia Nicodemus, are all being sued for damages resulting from what I can only describe as pure degeneracy. According to the lawsuit filed by a woman named Kristen Jacobs, the story all began when this woman, Kristen, found out that she was being cheated on by her spouse with her best friend. That best friend being Olivia Nicodemus. Kristen discovered Chelsea's Other Woman page when looking up content about infidelity and was absolutely effing floored to find a video of Chelsea reading Kristen's very own text messages about Kristen's very own affair word for word on her TikTok. So to find out how Chelsea even had these text messages, Kristen joined the Other Woman community anonymously, which you're allowed to do, only to find out that Olivia was also in there and posting pictures of both Kristen and her children. Not only that, but Chelsea was encouraging Olivia to admit to some of the most depraved acts I've ever heard. Olivia brags about sleeping with Kristen's husband while Kristen was sleeping right next to them. Olivia brags about spying on Kristen's intimate moments with her husband with binoculars. Ew. And Olivia brags about sneaking into Kristen's room and using her personal toys on herself without her consent. That's Chelsea's Other Woman community for you. A place for healing. As of right now, the courts are still awaiting responses from both Smallwood and Nicodemus, and they only have a couple weeks left. Then the case will move to discovery, where even more evidence of their depravity will be submitted. While we wait for the next update, comment Kristen's army down below so that if she sees this, she knows there is a wealth of cheater haters rallying behind her. Cheating bullies don't win.
Yep. So that gives you, I just wish I had some of these videos saved. There's no words, but so yeah, you can see in that video, Chelsea made this community where people pay to be a part of it. They go on retreats, they have chat rooms, all these things where it's not a matter of like, oh, I feel bad about what I did. It's, I feel good about what I did. What about you guys? And what they don't like is people making them feel bad. So that's why the group was created, because they
don't like
accountability. They don't like accountability. They wanted a safe space where they could openly be whatever you want to call them. Terrible people, yeah. To say it nicely, let's be honest. And yeah, it seems to be women, not men. We're not women haters here, but I think it is just women in the community from everything I was seeing. I could be wrong.
Well, I don't really like these women. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, right. And then she started posting things again without the comments on, and she's trying to rebrand herself. It's just essentially her trying to play it as like the victim who was wronged. Whenever it's still the same thing, just different packaging, essentially. It says, I hope to teach others that their worth isn't dependent on any relationship and that they deserve to prioritize their own growth without shame. I want to show that while affairs are a complex experience, they can be catalysts for self-discovery when we focus on understanding ourselves rather than judging our choices. You see what I mean? It's the same thing, but different packaging, trying to make it so that it's motivational and not being accountable for what you did. And then this one,
oh my gosh,
again, she loves to dance, and I believe this was a Taylor Swift one she was dancing to, like I said. Oh, so this is a Taylor Swift song, if you don't know, like, I'll tell you something right now. I don't know if you know that song. It's a Taylor Swift song. She says, I'll tell you something right now. I'd rather spend my life's work burning to the ground, inaccurate and toxic narratives surrounding infidelity, than to listen to one more second of all this bitching and moaning about how life is ruined by the experience of infidelity. So, what are your
I
thoughts
just
on
don't
that?
I just like, oh my gosh, I'm shook because I don't understand this backwards logic. I don't, are we not thinking about the other people involved? Like, this is
Nope.
the most selfish, entitled bullshit I've ever heard in my entire life. It makes no sense because it's like inaccurate, toxic narratives surrounding infidelity. I'm sorry, but if I found out my husband was cheating on me, I would be in a pretty negative, fucking toxic space. Like, that, it just,
Of course.
but they're justifying it.
They're
They're
justifying it.
justifying it right now. And it's like, I understand. Okay. So I understand not staying with someone for whatever excuse, especially if there's
Mhm.
abuse,
Yeah.
infidelity, if you even just lose the spark, whatever. But to justify cheating, it makes no sense. No, no, leave the person. Be a grown up, put on
Mhm.
your big girl panties and leave your spouse. Why are you cheating? Completely destroying their mental health.
Yep.
And not only that, but you're screwing them over for their future relationships because do you think they're going to be able to trust the next woman?
Nope.
Not that it's her fault, not
Not
that
at all.
and like I talked about this in my Nika deep dive, right? Weaponizing trauma and stuff like that. Like, but
Mhm.
regardless, getting cheated on changes your brain. It changes your trust in people, in partners. And
Yeah.
it's like they're not even thinking about that whole other side of this toxic narrative.
Not to mention whenever kids are involved, I don't know,
Yeah.
like, yeah, divorce with kids or cheating, but whenever you're a kid, if your parents have that sort of thing, it can really affect you forever. And someone like her, I forgot to mention, her account is called The Other Woman and the Wife. So the whole thing is, you don't join this group to get some self-esteem back and to get some reality put back into your skull of, you should leave and do the right thing. It's how to make this continue, and that let's get the wife out of the picture, if anything. It's bizarre, and that people are actually paying to be a part of this. It's disgusting. And my whole thing is, yeah, I don't have much respect for people who cheat, but I can have a lot more respect for someone who, I hate to call it a slip up, but does cheat and then actually feels bad about it and does what they can to like right their wrongs. I have no respect for someone like this, though. None. That there anyone who does, I don't have any respect for you either. Because come on, it's gross. It's disgusting. I do also think that once a cheater, always a cheater, and I know that maybe not
Yeah.
everyone would agree with that, but I do have that mindset. But I also think that, as I said, if someone is willing to admit what they did was wrong and work on things, get therapy, get counseling, good. But what they're doing,
Yeah.
it's not even close to that.
No, exactly. And there has to be room for growth
Yeah.
and learning and mistakes, right? Mistakes happen. People make mistakes. People think that they want something and then have it and then realize, like, oh, nope, I'm good where
Yeah.
I'm at. How am I going to fix
Mhm.
this? Regret
Yep.
and shame and humility a little bit, like
Again, she's
a
rebranding herself in
smear
the
campaign.
and a smear campaign is so therapeutic. A new look, new habits, new connections. Because obviously, what she's doing did get called out a lot. That advocate did a ton of videos, and that's what she's referring to. I'm so afraid to let my affair partner go because I can't imagine my life without him. That's like a comment that she would have got in her group. It's okay. What about his wife? What about his wife and kids if they have kids that have to
Who's
go through all
not
of this?
consenting in any of this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's not consenting to the end of her marriage? Like,
Something that
I don't understand. Like, we're just completely negating the other person's existence.
yeah, it's gross. It's the sickest thing, and what I'm noticing is I'll see more accounts like this pop up where maybe they don't have a life coach group that they're starting, but where they're trying to justify cheating and all these different things. I think part of it's rage bait, but in this situation, this is real life. This is how she makes a living. And what people say is, how you get them is how you lose them. She got her
Yeah.
husband. I would, I don't, obviously, I'm not an advocate for marriages ending by any means, but gosh, come on, karma. That'd be a good one. Because then what's her
Oh my.
excuse? you know?
Well,
And then, yeah, that's her website. You can go book if you guys are interested.
oh yeah,
And
we'll link it down below. Just kidding. We're not going to.
no,
We're not
we won't
going
be
to.
affiliated. Here, 5 reasons why telling someone in an affair to find someone else to love won't work at ending the affair. Yeah, well, what else are you supposed to say? If I had a friend come to me and said something along the lines of I'm in an affair with a married man, I'd be being real hard on that friend, and rightfully so, because I have
What are
zero
you
respect for.
doing? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Give your head a shake. Like it just
Yep.
it doesn't make sense.
So yeah, I'm curious to see how the stuff works out. I think that ultimately the goal is to just get this whole thing taken down. I think that's what a lot of people want to see happen. And I think that's why Chelsea is rebranding quite a bit, because she's trying to make it look that like basically that it's just a life coach situation, but that's not
Mm.
what it is at all. It's
No, it's not. Okay, there was a lot of names thrown around and my brain can't keep
mhm.
up. But that one woman who was getting cheated on by her best friend, yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Why was she posting pictures of her kids and her in this group? Like why are we posting other people in the group? Do you know what the motives behind that would be?
I think because, and I don't know for a fact, it's almost as if it's a small Facebook group where you have to be invited to get into it, to pay to get into it. And so people look at it as a safe space to post whatever. They clearly have zero morals or values. So they don't care that they're posting. It to them, it's almost like, here's my little trophy.
Yeah, but I don't understand why. Like I don't understand what the post would be. What would you
Yeah,
be
I
posting about? Posting some like
my guess is that will come out with the discoveries, whenever we get more information. But yeah, I don't know
yeah,
why
because I'd be so
that would be a
curious
thing.
because it's like why like I don't see a reason to be posting it unless it was to shame the wife, which in
Likely.
this community I totally understand that.
Yeah.
That makes sense that they would be the
Mhm.
type of people that would, post the wife and be like, "Huh, look at the bitch he's not sleeping with,"
That's, I think,
whatever.
more or less what
But
it was.
But why the kids? Why are you posting minors, children, other people's children?
Unless this lady was really bragging and being like, "Oh, she's my friend. Like, here we are at a barbecue. Here we are," because they were best friends. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Maybe. Hmm.
Er, we're dealing with, like the woman said, degenerates. So
Yeah.
anything goes. It's not the
Yeah.
same values, mindset, morals that we would have. So
Where are the aliens? I'm ready. I'm ready for them to come rescue us from
I
this.
thought for a second they were here with all the drones, but apparently that was not the case. So the government's telling us, but that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, legit though. Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah, we or the asteroid, just something. Just this is just yeet these people. Yeet them.
or
Can we yeet
or
them?
or maybe just social media goes away, because that would
Yeah.
also solve a lot of the craziness that's going on. But like I said, I do think some of it with people is rage bait, but in this situation, it's just a bunch of women coming together and bragging and trying to lift each other up and being as if, oh, don't listen to your friends. That's why Chelsea made it, because she didn't like feeling bad about what she did. And so she thought, what can I do so I don't have to feel like this? Make this little group.
But yeah, and I don't get the justification of it, and I don't get any of it, to be honest.
I wonder if Kira's a part of the group.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
People
Just
like
like
that,
in
they
their
justify
phone.
it.
Well, yeah, they justify it and they have no remorse for what they did, and it's just why are we normalizing this? Why aren't we just normalizing, a healthy end to a relationship? Why are we normalizing cheating instead of getting out of a relationship that you're not interested in, or a toxic relationship, or whatever?
Exactly.
What like why do we need to destroy the other person? Because that's what this
Yeah.
is doing. It is selfish and
Mhm.
it's getting what you want while simultaneously destroying another person's life. And
Yeah.
that's not okay. And
No.
regardless, like I know leaving them's going to break their heart and yada yada, they're going to be whatever, but at least you're not breaking all that trust and
Making a fool out
ruining
of
it for
them.
making a fool out of them, and it's taking the easy way out, in my opinion. It's very cowardice.
It is, and it's they need to get to the root cause of what's going on instead of trying to use a Band-Aid, essentially. I don't know, it's hard, and I don't wanna I'll sound real judgy, I'm sure, but I would never be interested in somebody who's married. Why even go that route, you know?
No, exactly. And it's like, well, I mean, the age old people always want what they can't have,
Yes,
right?
but
And the challenge and the thrill and whatever, because they're so bored in their own friggin' life that they need something to get off on, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't
yeah.
understand how this is being justified right now or why it's a thing. I don't. I'm dumbfounded.
I guess as Chelsea found a way to make money and make herself feel good, and she's gonna run with it as long as she can, but it might not be very long depending on how this all plays out.
Yeah, legit. It just goes to show you that, like, anyone can build a community if they really try to.
There's people out there for you. There's there's always something. There's always a community.
Oh my god. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. I'm anxious to hear about the court and the discovery and all that stuff. I think we should cover it again in the future and
Yeah.
give another update because that's wild. Just like that little intro, that TikTok was enough. What?
Yeah. We'll definitely cover Chelsea again. She deserves to be called out, you know? There's people out there who really deserve it, and she is one of them. Karma, if you believe in it, is going to bite her hard, and I'm all for it.
I hope so. Yeah, same. I don't know. I don't know. What is she getting taken to court for?
Well, this woman is for having her personal information put out there and pictures and all that stuff in that group.
Like emotional
Emotional.
distress or something like
Yeah.
that?
Think about this little aspect of it. The husband of Chelsea who ditched his family in China, his kids, that was 10 years ago, so he has teenagers now, I'm sure. Imagine seeing your dad's new wife who he left your mom for making dances on TikTok, making a mockery out of it
Also
all.
abandoned you. Yeah, also abandoned you. Left your mom
Yeah,
and abandoned you, making a mockery of everything
of
she
everything.
did.
Yep.
Well, that's just it, like, complete and total disregard for the other party involved, and I think that's what's so mind-blowing to me because it's like, yeah, I can be there with the "You do you, boo," like, I can, but
Mhm.
not at the expense of other people, like,
No,
no, this isn't okay. You
no.
can't just trample over someone's life like that.
We need to just stop normalizing everything as a society. There's just certain things that should not be
Seriously.
normalized, and this is
Yes.
one of them for sure.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, and that's really, like, a super toxic side of social media is trying to
Yeah,
normalize stuff that shouldn't be normalized and telling a large audience that, "Hey, this is okay to do, and this is okay. It's okay to whatever."
yeah,
Oh, that's wild.
yeah.
Absolutely wild.
It has me fired up for sure, and I've been wanting to cover it for a while, so I'm glad we got to do a little introduction of her, and we'll definitely circle back whenever there's new information.
I agree because yeah, she deserves to be called out because
Yeah.
she sucks.
To say it, yeah, put it lightly, she sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't like her.
No, I hate her.
We're haters! Look at
We're haters.
us!
You can justifiably call me a hater, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, towards her
Yeah,
at the
towards her.
very
Yeah.
least.
That's that. That's our episode for the week. Episode
I
2.
think that's our 2. High five, we did it 2 weeks in a row.
Woo!
Yeah! Yay!
Yay.
That is all we have for you guys for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.